This is 28:58 hours GMT on Monday, the 1st of January 2024. This is KhoodeelaarTVChannel television channel broadcasting under the banner of the Baby Angel Geronimo editions. And this is part D of the 4 parts of the day. Now, the summary that the newspapers of the Monday, the 1st of January 2024, represented is typically little English. It's corrupt, it's ignorant, and it's in denial of the existence of the whole world. Most importantly, it is in denial of the lies, the fabrications, the corruption, the criminality perpetrated by the United Kingdom state. The judiciary in England, essentially it is English judiciary, although it's called England and Wales, it's actually English judiciary, which is corrupt to the core. As Baby Angel Geronimo's evidence shows, the two lying criminals as committing crimes rather than criminals as specializing in crime or specializing in the understanding or explanation of the crime. These two criminals, Griffiths and Murray, who sat in the High Court in London against the evidence, against the truth of Baby Angel Geronimo. They lied and they lied and they lied and they lied. And these two criminals lied as per the culture that prevails in the English judiciary. The entirety of the English judicial jurisprudence, the pattern, the tendency, the trend, if Tom Dunning, also known as Lord Dunning, can be used as a personification of the jurisprudence of the English judiciary, then it is absolutely clear that behind the facade of a kind of not selfish, not greedy, not unfair, image of the judiciary, Tom Dunning actually was as corrupt, as unfair, as lacking in compassion as the rest of the judiciary. For example, a retired judge called Jonathan Sumter. This is an individual who has been given platforms by the corrupt Fleet Street media. He has had a piece in the last 3 days in one of the Fleet Street papers in which he argues that the Elgin marbles that belong to the Greek nation should be kept in Britain. What a corrupt criminality and stupidity. Sumter was a Supreme Court judge. What the fuck? So the Baby Angel Geronimo witnessed the criminality, the corruption, and the lying perpetrated by the Griffiths and the Murrays and the Leightons against the clear, bright evidence As popular Haque comes to We shall be investigating all of these, of course, in due course. I'm going to talk about two for the time being. Two criminals, racist criminals. One is the racist John Pilger, and the other is the racist Peter Newsom, both of whom have passed in the news, that is to say, in the last kind of period. And I'm going to discuss Pilger first. Now, the Guardian is perpetrating the lie. In the first paragraph of the obituary, timed at 13:31 GMT on Monday, the 1st of January, 2024, and byline to Anthony Hayward, it reads as follows. John Pilger, who has died of pulmonary fibrosis, aged 84, was a journalist who never shirked from saying the unsayable. Across half a century in newspapers and in his documentary films, many for late ITV, but later also in the cinema, Pilger became an ever stronger voice. Now notice what is coming. For those without a voice. Now that is the complete and utter lie, because Pilger, the racist, was part of the second line of the imperialist command, propaganda. And he did everything to stand in the way of the African people, the Asian people, and most certainly Muslim people having their say. So the Guardian is lying, as the Guardian is prone to lie. So I'm reading this again. Many for ITV, but later also in the cinema. He became an ever stronger voice for those without a voice, and a thorn in the side of those in authority. Absolute lies. He was a fervent critic of US and British foreign policy. Now, it doesn't say US and British imperialism, war crimes, genocides, and most certainly it doesn't say about the British state sponsoring the Zionist state of Israel in 1917. On the 3rd of June 1917, Balfour sent a note to the head of the British Zionist outfit, Rothschild, and proposed the setting up of the state of Israel in Palestine. Back to the Guardian's lies. In 2006, on a panel at Columbia University, New York, to discuss breaking the silence, war, lies, and empire, Pilger reasserted that journalists in in the so-called mainstream bear much of the responsibility for the devastation and lives lost in Iraq. By not challenging and exposing the lies of the Bush and Blair, the impact of Pilger's journalism was enormous. The Guardian is lying. It wasn't. In 1979, Pilger entered Cambodia after the Vietnamese had thrown out Pol Pot and the murderous Khmer Rouge. In a report that took up much of the first half of the Daily Mirror, he revealed that possibly more than 2 million people from a population of 7 million had died as a result of genocide or starvation, while another 2 million faced death from food shortage or disease. Now, none of the obituary published by the racist, imperialist British media, typified by the fucking Guardian, is there a mention of a journalist who is Vietnamese, of a journalist who is Indian, of a journalist who is Bangladeshi, who is a Pakistani, or who is a Muslim. That is the fucking extent of the industrial level of racist cover up by the fucking Guardian. Now, I had the very short incidents with against the racist liar Pilger. One, there was a discussion on the new SS. I call it new SS, the New Statesman, about a topic about racism, about empire, about imperialism, etc. The media role. And in a comment that I posted, I said generically, not personally, not specifically, that the opinions of white writers and authors and commentators was automatically given priority and space in the British media. Now, Pilger and Mark Tully were the two that came into the reference, I think. And Pilger, typically the racist liar, criminal, hate monger shit, typically responded with hateful bile at anyone who criticized his pretensions. And Pilger actually smeared anyone who criticized him on any ground whatsoever. And the images that the Guardian is running in this fucking obituary are completely corrupting. Pilger was a thief. And the Guardian is retailing the theft. All the items that the Guardian is kind of attributing to Pilja about Australia, about the Aborigines, etc., etc. All the topics and all the observations have been made by other people, especially in the case of the original people in Australia. Original people of Australia have made the points that Pilja, without crediting them, stole from them. And you extrapolate that and you include the whole of the subcontinent. Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, all the original comments that are made by the people in Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh, original people, independent investigators, reporters, observers, were there when Piljar got his hands on them. And the Fakar stole them without remorse. Same case with the fucking Mark Tully, the shit. And that is what I was doing in my condemnation of the racist record of the new SS. I call the new SS the New Statesman and Society. And new SS brings in the fascist Hitlerite dimension into the name. And I did that on purpose in order to suggest that the New Statesman was a fascist suppressor of the truth, a fascist racist suppressor of the truth. And the then editor of the New SS, who was a friend of the Pilja, has never forgotten the attack I made on his racism. And he has written more than once criticizing me, daring to criticize Piljar and Tully and him, the new SS. When I wrote a piece about the trade unions in the 1970s, and I sent it to the new SS, the editor chair was held by the corrupt Tony Howard, the shit. While I was walking towards Chancery Lane, along Chancery Lane, opposite the Law Society's building, I think I came across Tony Howard walking in the opposite direction. So I stopped him. I said, "Why did you not publish my piece?" And the cunt, the mental slave shit, he praised my typing, the fucking shit. And he completely insulted me by saying that he admired the typing. That extent of the mental slavery that I've been noticing and spotting and highlighting and exposing for more than 60 years in the British media. I started publishing in 1962-63. Although I was not in England at the time in 1963, I had connections. And I published in 1963 in a piece that was treated as a letter by the Muslim News International. And I sent other pieces. The records I cannot recall here now. It's more than 60 years now. So I have been directly engaged with the British media for more than 60 years, which is 20 years longer than the fucking racist John Pilger has been credited with by the lying Guardian. We shall come back to further revelations and exclusive analysis of the racist, like Pilger and his co-racist like Paul Foot, another one, who is credited on the left as a journalistic giant. Paul Foot was no giant at all. nor was Pilger, of course. Because when I walked in Fleet Street, I was walking southward from the direction of St. Paul's Cathedral. I was walking past the Reuters Press Association building at the time on the eastern footpath. From the opposite direction was Paul Foot. And I said hello to the cunt. And the racist cunt said he did not recognize me. Why was it racist of the cunt to claim that he didn't recognize me? He had actually spoken to me in 1976 when he was sitting as editor of the Socialist Worker. And he had quoted me, although he had spelt my name wrong. He had spelled Mohammed, the shit. But he quoted me in a piece about fighting racism in East London. And also, I had attended several meetings, campaign meetings, held by the campaign to defend the journalists, called ABC, Aubrey, Berry, and Campbell. Crispin Aubrey, John Berry, I think, and Duncan Campbell, the notorious racist Scottish Duncan Campbell, married to Julie Christie. So the campaign for helping ABC, the three who had broken the Official Secrets Act, etc., held several meetings across London, which I attended. And in more than one, Paul the racist liar Foot spoke. There were not more than 20 people at any gathering. And given the visual perspective, 20 people is a small crowd, and it is almost impossible to forget the face, any of the faces present. And when I said hello to the cunt near the Reuters building, in Press Association building in Fleet Street, the racist liar, Paul Fruit, looked, to put it in Peter Hitchens' word, diffident. The cunt said he didn't recognize me. What was the point of trying to persuade him, giving him any evidence that he was wrong? How is it that I could remember the cunt, but the cunt could not remember me? And the fact that there is an ongoing thing called the Paul Foot Award, jointly sponsored by Ian Pissoff of Private Lie and the Guardian Shits. And Paul Foot's entry in the Wikipedia says that he was born in Palestine. Fuck him. He was not fucking born in Palestine. Of course he was born in Palestine, but he didn't have any respect, recognition, affinity, solidarity with the people of Palestine. It's like Julie Christie. Julie Christie was born in Assam. And Joanna Lumley was born in Kashmir. But these fuckers never actually have any respect for the places of their birth. Most certainly no solidarity with or space for the people, ordinary people born in Assam, Kashmir, etc., or Palestine. The SWP wonkers, to which Paul the racist liar Foot belonged, make a long, big, loud, noisy claim that they are in solidarity, they are with the people of Palestine, but they're not. All their main authoritative so-called commentators, sources of information and knowledge about Palestine leave out the fact that Palestine was robbed. We shall be updating on the racist liars promoting pole foot, as well as on pole foot and the SWP workers. Go back to the Peter Newsom. Peter Newsom's Wikipedia entry gives him great kind of importance about being the educator. So Peter Newsom, who was education officer at the Inner London Education Authority, and then he was appointed chair of the Commission for Race, and then he was appointed director of the Institute of Education at the University of London. He has died in his 90s. And the criminal was one of the So she said she thought derogatory things, but on the context, they could not be derogatory because I was only saving her from her stupidity, inaction, racism, and confusion. I single handedly saved the school and generations that are still attending the school from being distorted. Come to the battle, update the story of the battle of this Marlbury School in another edition. Then they had the Peter Newsom. And Newsom, the liar, said that I was so obstructive and so disruptive that he ordered staff at the CRE to physically stop me entering the CRE building. Now, what crime had I committed? I had not committed any crime. In fact, I was there to stop him being engaged in committing crimes. Most of the events that he admitted to banning me from were so-called press conferences, usually organized by the chairman of the Commission for Racial Equality, Racist Enslavement, and mainly attended by ethnic surrogate newspapers. All of them were oozing at their prostrated kind of bodies in front of the fucking CRE chair. Except me, I would ask straightforward, rigorous questions. The last thing that the CRE chair wanted was any rigorous question, let alone straightforward, well-informed, and extensively, factually justifiable questions. That is what the Guardian, Sarah Bosley, left out. And that is what the Peter Newsom liar left out. But that's what the reason was for my interventions. And I didn't mind being banned because that only proved the point that later, that is years later, in that confession published in The Guardian, Peter Newsom agreed and I was vindicated. But when at the time I said that he had been banning me, the fucking liar lied and he said that he hadn't been. Now, in 1984, I chaired a Bent organization seminar. Bent meaning B for Bangladeshis, Educational Needs in Tower Hamlets. A Bent education seminar held in the Brady Center, where I invited Peter Newsom amongst others. 1984, remember, 8 years before the lies that he confected against me in The Guardian. And I was chairing the event, and one of the pictures shows me chairing the event while Newsom was sitting next to me. Fucking liar said that he never had anything to do with me. Fuck him. He was very happy to attend the Bent event. And then he said that he was hostile to me. By that, he was complying with the racist agenda of barring anyone anti-racist, Asian, Muslim, straightforward, well-informed, etc., etc. And then Ken Langston Livingstone was mentioned by Sarah Bosley, the moron, in which the Langston Livingstone said that my objections to him at the GLC, the Greater London Council, were not supported by other people in the community. So he said, so we ignored him. Fuck him. How could I be ignored? I have been, as I said in the earlier part of this bulletin, I have been for more than 60 years the most active, what is now Bangladeshi, the most active Bangladeshi in and from the East End of London. How the fuck could he sort of ignore me? He couldn't. Because it's a contradictory statement in the context of the statement being published in The Guardian of 5th of March 1992. If he was true and accurate and correct that he had ignored me, what was he doing, the fucking cunt, commenting on me all these years later in The Guardian? Clearly, neither he nor any of his ethnic surrogate recruits could ignore me, because I tell the truth, nothing but the truth, and I do the defending that nobody else can do, and the defending that the community everywhere does need, as it does today. And there will be other instances. Of course, going forward in 2006, in March 2006, the lying to Livingstone was not in post as the GLC leader, but in post as the elected mayor at the expense of London. And I was leading the campaign for the defense of the community in the East End of London against Crossrail Hole. And Livingstone was completely, absolutely unable to stop the community campaign, fronted the KhoodeelaarTVChannel campaign, organized, mobilized, devised by me. So when it became very clear that the KhoodeelaarTVChannel campaign was going to oust the Town Hamlets Council's Labour leadership, there was extreme pressure put on Ken Lyons to Livingstone to deal with the threat posed by Crossrail Hole plot. So he capitulated, the fucking cunt. And he surrendered. And they scrapped the whole project. How does that sit with the fucking cunt? Saying in March 1992 to the racist lying cunt, the Guardian, Sarah Bosley, that I was ignored by the community. I saved the community at every fucking point. In the series of 60-year-long struggles against the racists, against the liars, at every stage. So we shall be coming to an update on Ken Lyons to Livingstone, Peter, liar, Newsom, Daphne, the lying cunt racist, Gould, and Anne Smelling. Anne Smelling, the head teacher, the racist head teacher of the embattled Stratford school that I was campaigning on.